Hello, you're welcome to Statistics. My name is Dr. Tuane. In the continuation of our class on demand and supply equilibrium, today we want to look at the quadratic form of demand and supply equilibrium. Sometimes this demand and supply equation can be given in quadratic form. Remember, we told you in our last video that demand equation is a mathematical expression of the relationship existing between quantity demanded and the price of a commodity. The same thing is applicable to supply equation. So this equation can actually be given in quadratic form. And so when that happens, how do we handle the demand and supply equilibrium? Let's look at an example. If you're given, say, a demand equation that is P minus 4Q square plus 3Q plus 20 is equal to 0 as the demand equation. And you're also given the supply equation as P minus 5Q square plus 10Q is equal to minus 50. Now, when we are given this demand and supply equation, now what we need to do is to rearrange the equation and then make P the subject of the formula. And so to do that, from here, we want to make P the subject. So we'll have P will be equal to, we're moving all of this to the right hand side. And when we do that, this minus 4Q square is going to be plus 4Q square. This plus 3Q is going to be minus 3Q. And this plus 20 is going to be minus 20. Now, from the supply equation, our P will be equal to, remember this is equal to minus 50. So let's write that first. We have minus 50. Then this minus 5Q square will cross to the other side, and then we'll have plus 5Q square, and then this will be minus 10Q. So this set of equations and this are the same, just that one has been rearranged. So now if you look at this, if P is equal to 4Q squared minus 3Q minus 20, and P is equal to minus 50 plus 5Q squared minus 10, then it means that 4Q squared minus 3Q minus 20 is equal to minus 50 plus 5Q squared minus 10. That is to say that if P is equal to all of this, and P is also equal to all of this, then all of this is equal to this. And so if we write that out, we'll have 4Q squared minus 3Q minus 20 will be equal to, that's all of this now, will be equal to this, which is minus 50 plus 5Q squared minus 10Q. And so the next is to collect like terms. Here we have 4Q squared. Remember there's 5Q squared here. So this will cross the equality sign again. And so we have minus 5Q squared. Then this is minus 3Q. On this other side, we have minus 10Q. So it will cross the equality sign to be plus 10Q. And then after that, we have minus 20. And so here we have minus 50. And so that will cross to be plus 50. And so 4Q squared minus 5Q squared will give us minus Q squared. And then minus 3Q plus 10Q will give us plus 7Q. And then minus 20 plus 50 will give us plus 30, and it's equal to 0. Remember that this, the whole of this is equal to 0. And now, because we have a negative value here, what we need to do now is to multiply all of this by minus 1 because of this negative sign. And so if we do that, this is going to be plus q square minus 7q minus 30 is equal to 0. And so you see that this is a quadratic equation. Now that we have this quadratic equation, we can solve it using any of the methods used in solving quadratic equation. We might decide to use the formula method. We might want to use the factorization. We might want to use completing the square and so on. But let us use factorization. And so if you look at what we have here, now we have minus 7 and minus 30. So what we do if we are using factorization, we look for two values such that if you multiply the values, it will give you minus 30. And when you add those values, it will give you minus 7. So the values that come to mind are we have 3 and 10, minus 3 and minus 10, minus 3 and 10, and then we have 3 and minus 10. So which of them is correct? Now, if you say 3 times 10, that's going to be 30. And the product here is not 30. We have minus 30. So this is not correct. Now, 3 minus 3 times minus 10 will be equal to 30. Also, what we have is minus 30. So this is also not correct. Now we have minus 3 and 10. This is equal to minus 30. That seems to be correct. But is the sum equal to minus 7? Minus 3, this is minus 30. And then the sum here will be plus 7. But what we have is minus 7. So this is also not correct. And also let's consider the last one. This time this is equal to minus 30, which is correct. And what of the sum? If we add this and this, it will be equal to minus 7, which is what we have here. So this is correct. So we are going to write this equation now as we have q squared plus 3q minus 10q. Then we have here minus 30 is equal to 0. Now, what we have here is still the same as what we have here. Because this plus this will be this minus 7q. And so this is correct. But we have only done it making sure that the two values, the sum of these two values will be this, and the product will be this. And so, having done that, then we can factor this. And so we'll have q into, now this will be q, because q times q will be q squared, and then plus 3, because q times 3 will be 3q. Then we'll have minus 10 into, this will be q, because 10 times q will be q. And then this will be plus 3, because 10 minus 10 times 3 will be this 30. And all of this will be equal to 0. Okay? Now, this will be, we will have, what we have in the bracket is 3q plus 3. And then what we have outside the bracket is q minus 10. For all of that is equal to 0. So if the product of this is equal to 0, then it means that either q plus 3 is equal to 0, or q minus 10 is equal to 0. And that's the implication of this. And so if q plus 3 is equal to 0, then it will mean that q will be equal to minus 3, or our q will be equal to, in this case, this will cross to the other side, to be plus 10. So now the equilibrium quantity is equal to 10. because we don't expect quantity to be negative. So if we take 10 as the equilibrium quantity, now to look for the equilibrium price, then the best way to do is to substitute these values in place of this. So we'll bring the first equation where we have P is equal to, we have 4Q squared minus 3Q minus 20. And so this will be equal to 4. Our Q we computed as what? 10 square minus 3. Our Q again is 10 minus 20. Okay? And so that will give us, look here, 10 square is 100 times 4 will be 400. So this will be equal to 400 minus 3 times 10 will be 30 minus 20. And so 400 minus 30 minus 20 will be equal to 350. So the equilibrium price will be 350. And then if we take the other equation, where we have P is equal to minus 50 plus 5Q square minus 10Q. It will mean that we have minus 50 plus 5. Our Q is 10 and squared minus 10. Our Q again is 10. So this will be equal to minus 50 plus 10 squared will be 100 times 5 will be 500. Okay? Minus 10 times 10 will be 100. So 500 minus 100 will be 400 minus 50. And this is also equal to 350. So that's the equilibrium price and then equilibrium quantity for when it is presented in a quadratic form. I hope you understand. If there's any question, please feel free to go to the comment section and then make your comments. Also do well to subscribe to our channel. We do appreciate. Like our video. It's very important for us so we can do more of this video. Okay, let's look at the second example. Now, if we are given that P minus 2000 plus 10Q is equal to 0, and then P plus 40Q minus Q square is equal to 109. Note that P is for price and Q is for quantity. Now, if we are given this and we are asked to calculate the equilibrium price and quantity, now we will have to rearrange this. And so if we rearrange this to make this a subject, let's say our P will be equal to, this will cross equality sign to be 2000. Right? And then this is will be minus 10Q. That's what we have here. Now, if we substitute this in this second equation, because we are told that P is equal to this, and so in place of P, we can decide to put this. And so if we do that, we'll see that this P will be all of this, which is what? 2000 minus 10Q. And then that's this P. So this becomes plus 40Q minus Q square is equal to 109. Okay? Now, we'll also move this to the left-hand side. And so we have 2000 minus 109. That's this. And then we have minus 10Q plus 40Q minus Q square is equal to 0. And so if we subtract 2000 minus 109, that will give us 1891. Okay? And then minus 10q. Minus 10q plus 40q will be plus 30q. Minus q square will be equal to 0. You see that this is also a quadratic equation. If I let me arrange it properly, and so if I do that, you see that we'll have minus q square plus 30q plus 1891 is equal to 0. To remove this negative value, I want to multiply through by minus 1. And if I do that, this times minus 1 will be q square. This time minus 1 will be minus 30q. And this time minus 1 will be minus 1891. And all of that will be equal to 0. Okay? Now, we want to use the quadratic formula. In the previous example, we used the factorization method. So now we want to use the quadratic formula. So it will mean our quadratic formula is that our q will be equal to minus b, plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Now, in this case, our a is equal to, the coefficient of q square is 1. Okay? Then, our b is equal to, the coefficient of q is minus 30. So this will be minus 30. Now, our c is equal to, this is minus 1891. So let's substitute this in this formula. And so if we do that, you see that, so our q will be equal to minus, our b is minus 30 plus or minus the square root of, so b square will be minus 30 squared minus 4, our a is 1, and our c is minus 1891. So all of that over 2a, our a is 1. So that our q will be equal to minus times minus will be positive. So we'll have, in fact, what we have here is minus 1 times minus 30, which is going to give us plus 30, plus or minus the square root of minus 30 times minus 30. That's minus 30 squared. Will give us 900 minus 4 times 1. There's a minus sign here, so it will be minus 4. So minus 4 times minus 1891. So that will give us 7564 all over 2 times 1 will be 2. Okay? So our q will be equal to 30 plus or minus the square root of. So 900 plus 7564 will give us 8464. All of that over 2. So this will be equal to 30 plus or minus. The square root of 8464 is 92. So that will be 92. All of that over 2. So this will imply that we'll have 30 plus 92 over 2, or 30 minus 92 all over 2. 30 plus 92 will be 122 all over 2, or 30 minus 92 will be minus 62 all over 2. And this will imply that this over this will be 61, or minus 31. Again, our quantity, remember the whole of this is our Q. So our Q is equal to this. So quantity is equal to 61 or minus 31. And since quantity cannot be negative, we are taking that the quantity is what? 61. And so if quantity is 61, what then is the price? So the price will be, remember we said our P is equal to 2000 minus 10 Q. So which will be 2000 minus 10. Our Q is 61. So our P will be equal to 2000 minus 610, which will be equal to 1309. Okay? Again, if you also make P the subject from here and then substitute the value of Q as 61, it will also give you the same value. Thank you and God bless you. Please like our video, subscribe to our channel, share our videos with friends and colleagues. Thank you and God bless you.